Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Charlie and Duke Show. We are back at it again with another movie review. This time, one of the biggest, probably the biggest blockbuster, at least on paper, of the year, right? Realistically. I mean, Spider-Man could top it, but as of right now, that's been released. Give it 2 weeks. That's been released. Probably the biggest blockbuster on paper that we have of the year so far, which is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Starring literally half of Hollywood. No, starring Matt Damon and Hathaway. Yeah, starring the cast of Hollywood. No, starring, I'll just rattle off some ones. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, John Bernthal, name various other actors. There was a shit ton in there. Elliot Page was in this movie. There was so many actors in this movie. And I think there were a shitload that were actually low-key just disguised as some of the crew and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? That he was rolling with. I feel like we just don't know, but the makeup and hair team just hid some people in there. You know what I mean? Like, we never knew we're in the movie the whole time. But anyway, yeah, we're here to talk about The Odyssey today. Me and my good buddy Charlie. How are you doing today, my friend? We both saw this movie today. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have opinions. And I will tell you before I toss it over to you to tell us what you thought, Charlie. I will say this. One of my favorite theater experiences of the year so far. Really quiet group of people in my theater, but still. I think that sometimes I feel like that is an indication of how good what you're watching actually is.
Just experiencing it with other humans, humanity,
yes.
Peak
sometimes
humanity.
You don't need the whoa, clap, 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 clap after every fucking, you know what I mean? It wasn't that kind of movie. This wasn't an Avengers movie. This was a fucking intense fantasy story. You know what I mean? So I'll let you tell me what you thought about this movie. But yeah, I mean, just what did you think? I mean, I know for me, you asked me literally an hour before I went to see the movie, what hype level are you at? And I was like, astronomical, you know? And, you know, were you at a similar level of hype when you went to see it earlier in the day than I did? And I mean, just, you know, I mean, what are you thinking before we get into the deeper thoughts?
Yeah, definitely was verging on that, right? Because, you know, this has been the movie that we've been, honestly, since it was announced 2 years ago.
Do you remember too? I remember saying to you when I had been rewatching Oppenheimer 3 times a week at the time that this got announced. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I was like, I wonder what Nolan's going to do next. And you're like, well, he's got this Untitled thing. I was like, I wonder what that's going to be.
Yep.
You know?
All we knew that he signed a deal with Universal and it's basically blank check.
Yep.
And
we were
probably
well,
going to be that going forward.
And then we found out The Odyssey. Now go ahead and continue. I didn't mean to just step on you.
But
I remember specifically, I was really heavily rewatching Oppenheimer because I'd finally seen it. And I was like, this is one of my favorite movies. And it's 3 hours and I could just watch it. And I had just finished it. And then I think a week later or something, they'd come out with more details about what Nolan was doing. But yeah, go ahead. What did you think of this? And what was your hype level going in?
Yeah, so it definitely similar, and it's just been nice because it's been a lot of build up for nearly 2 years about this movie, right? And the whole casting process. There was, you know, jokes in the 2025 Oscars, right, where the people that weren't there, it's because you know, everyone's filming The Odyssey, right? Was the joke, and you can carry that 2 years later to when they're doing more stuff, and we'll talk our Oscar stuff. We'll have a whole segment about that, about potential nominations and what that could be, and. Because I got a feeling this is going to be a movie.
Anything else right now is probably already being made. That's so insane to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
it's probably not. But if he is,
it's really cool. So we'll have our own stuff talking about that. And at the very end of the show, we'll talk about some trailers that we saw to kind of. Because again, if you guys don't know, August is a big month for us. It's where we upload every day. So it's a really fun time for us, and we get trailers of stuff that we can see and. You know, even stuff that maybe we're not that excited about, we do a thing where we just go and fucking watch it anyways and see what happens. And it was really fun last year. So yeah, let's get into this and The Odyssey. So yeah, like you said, I am up first here. And look, this was truly just a fucking awesome movie. I think you go into this with a certain level of expectation with Christopher Nolan at this point, right? And just all the build around, all the hype, all the excitement. There's a certain level of expectation, and I think you're going to be satisfied. And I think it's a different way to just like I said with Steven Spielberg and Disclosure Day, right? I think you can go into that and you can walk away with something pretty happy. And you know, you went and saw a Steven Spielberg movie, right? And I think you can cater that with Christopher Nolan. And it's a different type of movie, right? This was This was a fucking epic. It was a fantasy epic. This is going to be people's first time, genuinely. Now, it was rated R, and we could probably guess why, as we'll talk about it a little more as we go in. But this will be a lot of people, that are 13, whatever, right? This is the first time they're seeing an epic like this in the theater. And I can only imagine what that's going to do for their love of film going forward, right? Every chapter of this movie feels like it's hitting that spectacle note that we're looking for, I think it has a softer third act, and that third act, I think, dude, just it truly brings everything home, and it connects every single dot. Every part of the story that was built to going into that moment, and the intensity throughout the movie of so many fighting and so much wars, and it kind of flips its switch a little bit, right? There is still some fighting going on towards, the end of the third act, but it hits a softer note. And I think when it's doing that and when it's singing with that, it's really a beautiful movie. And that's what we talk about, just him taking it home and making you feel good when it ends in a way, right? Like when this movie ends, you just watched something badass. And that's what he did with Oppenheimer, right? And what he's probably going to be doing going forward. You're gonna know this right away. The way that he did this, like, kinetic, fast-paced editing, oh my god, I loved it. It was so fucking clean, and that's what can make your runtime really click for you, right? Like we talked with that Conclave movie, and just the editing is done in a way where it's just flowing and flowing.
On paper, a super boring movie. It's people that want to be Pope talking about being the Pope and all the reasons why everyone shouldn't be Pope, and yet it's fucking riveting because of the way it's edited and the way that it's structured and the way that the dialogue is written. And actually, before you continue, I want to give a big, ginormous, fucking huge shout to the dialogue in this movie. Oh my god, is it so well written?
He was cooking for sure. And
just added this level. You talk about that epic fantasy. It added this level of groundedness that you expect in a Nolan movie, but the fantastical nature, the way the people spoke about the gods and their place in society and their place in the world added that sort of fantastical element, but somehow simultaneously grounded the film. He did a fucking magic trick with this movie. Like,
yeah. No, and what it ends up doing in this, when it's wrapping it up in this third act and you're kind of replaying the events of the movie that are going on, it's really like this PTSD story almost of this soldier returning from war and what that feels like. And I think you're going to have a lot of people that can relate to this in many different ways, right? Whether it's themselves, whether it's a family member. I think everyone's going to have, and it doesn't even have to be that example. Like, I think he in a rich story that everyone knows about. I remember when we were talking about this like 2 years ago, it's like next to the Bible, this is like the story everyone's read the most, essentially, or the story everyone knows about. Like, essentially, that is
it's
what
like,
this
it's the
is.
only thing that tops this is like the Epic of Gilgamesh or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the first story ever, or one of the first recorded.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And we're talking,
but this is like as mythology and formation of like foundational myths that became like stories that carried all the way now to the future. Like, that's the one that kicked a lot of that. At least for contemporary scholars, like that, what they've focused on heavily. You know what I mean? At least from my limited knowledge of scholarship. No,
but we're talking that level of story. It's a story everyone knows about, and it's his duty to put his own touch on it and to cater it for the next generation, right? For people to grow up with this being their rendition of this story, and et cetera, et cetera. And he just does. He really put his own touch on it. And I think when we get into Oscar stuff, the thing that I'm taking away the most from Matt Damon is I thought he was fine in the first half. Like, I thought he was fine. I think in that second half, dude, I think it's fucking incredible. And
I think it's in the first half, he hasn't had that transition, or what am I looking for? Like that big transformative experience that he has. Like,
correct. A lot of it's just running into war and running out of war and running in and running out.
He's very sure of his place in society as the king of Ithaca and the leader of this army under Agamemnon, and he hasn't seen what's going to happen later yet. You know what I mean? To everything how everything's going to fall apart. So in his mind, up until that moment that we see toward the end of the movie, he still believes in everything that he's doing up until the moment that happens. So that first half of him, I think that's an intentional choice by the script to have him act
correct.
that
I'm
way,
sure it is.
Like,
and I think he really gets a chance to display his talent in that second half, and he puts it all in, and he really puts on a show in that second half. So yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff to really bite your teeth into and to really chew on. The two things I do want to point out, that because I do personally feel like there's a little bit of a slightly clunky opening, and I think the moment for me when it really clicked on and really flipped in, and I wonder if other people might feel like this too, was the cave scene. I think once you get to the cave scene and you go through that throughout the rest of the movie, it kind of hits another level. And then most importantly, oh my God, Samantha Morton, who played Cersei. Holy shit. When the movie gets there, that's when it hits that next degree.
To say, and like, you think this is the point in the movie, I feel like, when you first get to it, maybe this was mine, where I was like, oh, is this going to be a bit where we slow down as this people's bathroom break? You know what I mean? No. It's very important to what's going on.
Now, that was an incredible fucking performance. And when it hits that movie, or when we hit that chapter of the movie, if you will, I think we just hit a fucking insane degree of just what you're witnessing, something special. And so yeah, I think when you get to the cave scene, I think from there on, I think the movie found its flow and it's really going. And then basically from Samantha Morton as Cersei on, I think the movie's fucking just in full swing and everything's beautiful. And I think the part that got me the most was the dog at the end, of course, right? But we'll touch on some more stuff as we go through, Duke, but I'm going to toss it to you here there, fella. What did you think of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this movie. So I'm just going to warn everybody now. I might delve into spoilers slightly, because I might just slip up because there's so many things I actually want to talk about. But I think I can talk about this movie in a way that doesn't let everybody know what's going to happen before they see it.
I mean, I talked in spoilers, so you don't have to worry about it.
But you mentioned like the cave scene. People aren't going to know what that is unless they know the myth. You know what I mean? So I knew what it was because I read Percy Jackson, and that exact scene basically plays out not the same way at all because it's a lot more intense, graphic, rated R. But what happens in that scene does happen-ish in the book. So I kind of already knew where we were going a little bit, but I didn't know how they were going to handle it, obviously. But I'll start there because that was one of the things when you were going through that I kind of was rattling off in my head about, and it is this idea, like I heard this idea going into this movie that they kind of played the gods and the myth part of things as like, well, was it real or was it this other thing? I didn't get that vibe. I got the vibe that, yeah, maybe certain people believe a little too hard in the gods and maybe they aren't actually influencing things. But the more important part of that aspect of the society is what it causes people to do and not do, not actually whether or not they're really there or not. Like Matt Damon believes he's being guided by Athena. It doesn't really matter if he actually is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So regardless, or that he's being plagued by the gods, or maybe he's just really unlucky on the sea, right? Less likely. You know what I mean? I think the way the story presents it to me, the gods were definitely involved, So maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. But that's the way I understood it, right? And as you mentioned this idea of it being like about like PTSD and what war does to society and what their way of operating as a society did to the world. And like the big key tying thing into that to make that message come home as hard as it does right before we get to the final part of the movie. And I love that arc is fully realized before the final part of the movie. I love that our character goes on their full journey of development character-wise to become like the sort of sage character they are at the end of their journey. And then they get to their emotional catharsis. I love that it was two separate things. They had to get to two different emotional catharses in order to actually get there because of how much had gone down. So I think all those scenes that you talk about, there's the cave, obviously, and that's incredibly intense. And you spend days in this cave fighting off this Cyclops, and you just watch dude after dude just get fucking chomped to bits by this thing, right? And then they're after the Cyclops Island, they go and they're like, oh, here's some more land, and they land on it, and they're like, oh, look, a human looking thing. That's interesting. It's a little big, but that's hey, at least it's like something somewhat resembling humanoids. And then the child screams, and the fucking giant army, which had forged steel, it looked like, or at least forged metal anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Literally.
okay. Did they land on Hephaestus's island? I'm just like genuinely asking because, like, what? You know, like, just land on an island. Oh, there's just an army of armored fucking, giants here. Good luck, like fucking Christ. And they took out 2 of the boats in the process. Like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just like very intense battle sequences. It never felt like at any point, and I think this is something that is probably true in the story, it always felt like there was something, whether it was the gods or just life in general getting in the way, whatever it was, but it felt like there was this omnipotent, oppressive force preventing Odysseus from completing his journey home, And what we're going to find out is it wasn't some omnipotent, overarching, godly force. It was his own, like, I don't know if insecurity is the right word, but his own fear of what the world had become in his absence, like, because he'd been gone for a period of time, and then he witnesses what he does in the Battle of Troy, and he thinks in his mind, innocence is gone from the world now. We've become the raiders that we've been hearing about, like, and like that through line for him to get there, and that like it's actually him not, and this is where I think the performance shines so brilliantly through, because you like think back to all those points earlier in the movie, post when they have the Battle of Troy, and how he kind of has majorly shifted as a character. He plays it so well because he's no longer, at no point was he ever actually trying to get home, like up until he was, right? But, and like, I almost wonder if the crew kind of felt that to some extent, his army, you know what I mean? Like, because there are points when they're like about to like leave him behind and they go against his orders and stuff like that. Yep. It almost gets them all killed multiple times. It does get them all killed eventually, and I just thought, like, again, I love, maybe that's what they mean when they say it feels like it splits the difference between the gods being real and the not being real, right? Because you could take it as, oh, well, he was just, maybe they were just, he was so caught up in his own emotional shit. He literally was intentionally steering them away from home, like, or you could say there was some sort of force pushing them because of the things that they'd done. You know what I mean? You could take it either way, really. You know what I mean? Because it feels almost like there's this power that's way beyond. And maybe that's what it felt like to be alive back then, and why it was so easy to just believe in the gods. Because shit was so crazy, and like the way life operated was so insane. And when you compare it to like nowadays, where we just like, if my coffee isn't ready on time, I'm a little pissy, as opposed to like my entire city is getting invaded by a fucking horde of fucking thousands, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever. Like, yeah, problems are a little bit less now, I would say. There's not like no problems now, but like they're a little more trivial by comparison, right? Your average life of a person. Yeah, no, I thought that all kind of really played brilliantly into that, I'll call it second to last bit of development that we get for Odysseus. Because I think it's the thing that resonated with me most from the movie was this whole story, or I guess this whole plot, this whole subplot with Odysseus's, refusal to return home. I think this is going to be like Oppenheimer, where like, even though it's 3 hours, I think watching it again, you're going to notice so many things you didn't notice the first time through, because of the subtlety of the performance.
Just with the nature of it, right?
Because there's so much that's going on that you don't realize the whole time. This is not him being prevented from getting back. This is maybe something that actually happened, but maybe he would never have encountered these giants, this Cyclops, Circe, or Calypso, if he had actually wanted to go home and actually had been going the right way, quote unquote. I'm just going to say that because I don't think that necessarily was they were going the wrong way. I'm sure naval navigation was a lot harder back then, like, especially when you had to kind of go with the winds. I'm sure it was difficult, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't just like, we do this, maybe it was, I don't know. But, anyway, yeah, no, I think that so much of that really, really worked to emphasize that point toward the end of the movie. I want to ask you about something, because I'm curious your thoughts on this. What did you think? Because there was this idea of like, oh, don't just like randomly kill people, and don't just like do crimes to people, because if you do, it could be a god in disguise. You don't want to do that, right? What did you think of? Because my mom was the one that told me this. So I think in the Battle of Troy, part 2, I'm going to call it, when we actually see the thing that caused Odysseus to turn on really his entire society's way of living, essentially. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. When they broke Zeus's law.
Yes, when they broke Zeus's law and they used deception to enter the city and then killed that little girl. That little girl, if I am understanding it correctly, is one of Helen's younger sisters. And now they chose to have her be portrayed by Zendaya, who we know was playing Athena in the movie.
Yes.
So you could take that again. You could take that two ways. Did they actually kill a version of Athena that was just walking around, right? Maybe. Be kind of weird that one of the daughters of one of the city's people that they went into happened to be a fucking Athena. That doesn't track. So it's probably
Can I tell you exactly how I interpreted that scene?
Well, let me finish. To him, that is the moment. It wasn't actually, she didn't look like Zendaya really. You know what I mean? That's the way he remembers it now, because that's the moment they lost the innocence, when they killed that girl. You know what I mean? So is that what you were going to go with that? Because that's where I was.
I mean, they lost their innocence the way when they entered through the horse, right?
No, I agree, but I think that to him is the moment where they became the.
So
the
I kind of interpreted that exact scene a little differently than you. Okay. So yes, that girl clearly took on that face of Athena, right? I almost think it was symbolic, because immediately the camera cut after is them cutting the head off that fucking statue. So I was thinking maybe that was some version of Athena.
Oh no, they definitely killed that girl. That is definitely Paris.
Sure, no, and but the way I took it was them taking that statue off was like, that just shows like we're killing.
That
gods.
was the symbolic. Well, also that's supposed to. I feel like for people that didn't know, that they think they just chopped her head off too. You know what I mean? Like so, like
yeah.
But I what I'm saying is, if we go off of what that one random ass person that said, then you could take it two different ways. All I'm saying is that definitely that was like, that's the moment they want you to be like, oh, because they killed this little girl, like that they're not good guys anymore. Like for people that can't just decide that war is bad in general or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I don't know. The way I took that was like, not that exact moment. I'm saying like I think that to him that is when everything fell apart, right? Because that's the scene we kept cutting back to of him falling onto the ground and not being able to deal with what he's seeing. That's what that scene was. It was cutting back to that every time. We just didn't see the other part of it yet until later when he remembered.
And we see the after effect of that is when he's watching the horse on fire.
Yes, 100%.
So, yes, we see that
probably is the reason why he believed that they were like somewhat cursed or whatever from that point on, right? But like, And that's all I was getting at. Is I think as a symbolic moment to represent for
which
the audience,
Nolan loves to do.
Of course, absolutely. That is a very brilliant scene in my opinion because of that, and I'm really excited to see what else like that Nolan can create in the future, because it was this through line that he worked through this whole movie. This idea that you don't mistreat people because the gods, Zeus's law. You don't want to fucking piss off the gods by accidentally killing one of them or accidentally fucking one of them over, to Odysseus, the moment he lost all of his fucking honor and all of his, everything that he'd earned, was the moment they killed either that little girl or they destroyed the statue or whatever you want to call it, but whatever you think
happened. Do you think that
moment,
statue is Athena too?
They specifically said they wanted to take the horse to the Temple of Athena earlier in the movie, so yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that. I knew that because they said it.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I mean, there's a lot of other things. I mean, pretty much every action sequence is pretty well done. I would say that as far as scripts go, like, you could imagine a version of this movie that kind of doesn't know how to structure itself very well, right? And like, kind of like it cuts between what Odysseus is doing and like the drama back home. I think it was a smart decision to have the drama back home be like the smallest part of the cutting back, right? We were cutting back to different parts of Odysseus' story usually, you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to like, I don't even think we see Odysseus in the current time until like almost halfway through the movie, you know what I mean? Like, like current Odysseus we don't know. So if you don't know the story, you might think he might actually be dead up until that point, you know what I mean? Like, so, or at least gone, you know what I mean? So like, it's the way the movie chose to structure itself in that way, I think was the right way to tell this story in a film, because the whole time you're building up towards this idea, okay, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? And then like you're building this story of, like we talked about, of Odysseus is now like sort of against what they were doing in terms of the way they conquered before, right? Well, that story is building up in your head the whole time. By the time you get to the part where he's going to finally decide that or whatever, you're already on board with that. But you're also like, because of Tom Holland's performance, who we haven't even talked about yet. Let me just talk about Tom Holland for a second. Because of Tom Holland's performance as Telemachus, you desperately want this guy to come back for his fucking son so that he's not left in the dirt, you know? Like, and at least I did, you know what I mean? So, like, in my mind, you kind of have these counter narratives that are working against you as the audience the whole time in that way. But like the way it comes together at the end, which I'll save for people, I won't even talk about that because I think the ending is so well done, you know? To definitely see that part, at least in the theaters, if you haven't seen anything of it yet. But like, I think the way those two storylines sort of like wrap around each other and intersect, and then sort of go off in their own directions at the end, if you know what I mean, like they weave together and they unweave, and it's kind of this brilliant little, like, you know what I mean, like thicket that has been created by these counter growing stories that then weave together and then unweave in a very satisfying way that doesn't leave you like, oh my god, we should have seen what happened next or something like that. You know what I mean? Do you know what the only thing I can even really think to compare this to in terms of scope and epic fantasy is like House of the Dragon, dude, and that's a TV show. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah. Which obviously way different budgets, way different everything, but in terms of like the level of quality of everything I'm seeing on screen, the level of acting that I'm seeing from everybody involved, and just the pure fucking balls that they had to do some of the stuff that they did in this movie and the way that they did it. I mean, the only way I think I can really describe it at this point, before we move on to like Oscars and other stuff, like, is I feel like they captured the energy of when you were sitting around a campfire way before Homer wrote this story down, hearing somebody sing the songs to you, you know, like, and I love that they included a fucking scene of somebody doing the like a bard doing Odysseus's tale, and then they cut it off, but they gave us a flavor of that just to show what that would have been like. These fucking meetings where you're talking about these like foundational myths or whatever that already sort of exist, you know, like, and it's crazy that before the Odyssey takes place, because of what he did, he was already this mythical figure to people. Odysseus was, you know what I mean? Like, so he has bards singing his songs before he ever gets lost. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just thought that was cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff like that in the movie. I mean, it's 3 hours long. We obviously can't talk about everything because there's just so much. But like, yeah, like I said, I don't think I ever felt the runtime myself. I never felt bored during this movie. I felt like everything. Like you mentioned, it was from like Circe on. I think for me, it's from the first time we go to Troy on, which I know we saw that entirety of that sequence pretty much in the like a year or something ago. You know what I mean? On, I forget which movie that was, but we saw that on. That for some reason I can't think. But anyway, we saw it as, in front of something else. You know what I mean? As a trailer, and I was worried that we weren't going to see it again in the movie. You know, remember I said that to you? I was like, yeah. Hopefully it's in there. You know what I mean? And not only was it in there, but there was more. You know what I mean? So that was great. Yeah. Which was the two things I was hoping, right? Was that it would be in, that people that could see it that didn't see that shit. You know what I mean? That would have been fucking ridiculous to spend that much money to film all that just to fucking put it as a teaser. You know what I mean? Anyway. But then, yeah, no, I think for me, it's the first time we had Troy on. I think that's like, when we first start unraveling the myth of what Odysseus is, that's when it really starts to get intriguing for me. Because I think something about Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway and the way they talked about Odysseus and the way everyone talked about him and the way everyone was like, despite the fact that they wanted to move in and be these, you know, suitors that took control, they were all, they knew better because they didn't know for sure if he was coming back. And the idea of Odysseus was enough to keep these people in check for a long time, you know, essentially. Which is insane, but it's also fucking so much aura, you know what I mean? Like, but also they've had enough time to be like Robert Pattinson's character, I don't know the name of, is starting to get a little bit more cocky as time goes on, clearly, you know what I mean? Like he starts to believe, there's no chance this guy's coming back. I can just do what the hell I want, you know? And arguably he can, so. But yeah, no, let's actually get into some other stuff here, because I've been yapping for like 15 some minutes or something now, and just kind of going into different various things, because so much of this movie just really sung to me. And I actually haven't even mentioned this, but this is the first movie I went and saw with my mom this year. So
big dubs, mom dub.
Yeah, my mom is really into like medieval European history and also like ancient Greek history, and like she has books on books on books of this stuff.
Oh hell yeah!
Like,
did she like it?
Oh, she thought it was. We were both beaming coming out of the theater. Like,
oh hell yeah!
The first thing I asked her was like, did they do it justice? And she said yes. So and she literally read the Odyssey like last year or something like that. You know what I mean? So like, she had like opinions, and like when this movie was coming out, she wasn't even sure she was going to see it at first, because she had just read the book, and she was like, well, I don't know, are they ever going to be able to do that? And I was like, look, if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
you know,
we got to give this guy a try.
This guy, well, she'd seen Nolan movies before. I mean, most people have seen at least one of the Dark Knights, or have seen Inception or
something,
both,
yeah.
But like, or maybe something else that he's done. But like, most people have at least seen a Nolan movie, if they don't know who he is. You know what I mean? So like, but at the same time, you know, that doesn't. Well, it's a Batman movie. Well, why would that guy be good for the Odyssey? She also, but they happen. The good thing for me is like everybody on Earth saw fucking Oppenheimer when it went on digital. So like, you know, that helped a lot, because he'd just done that. So I could be like, hey, remember Oppenheimer? Same guy, you know, like
same fella.
Yeah. Anyway, just no Killian this time. But yeah, no. So. All right. Actually, before I toss it to you, I want to just talk about, in that first Battle of Troy sequence, something about being in the theater this time when Agamemnon is just standing there fucking aura farming as all the soldiers are running past him. I don't know who they got to play that guy, but my God.
Dude, that was fucking Benny Safdie.
Dude, shout out Benny Safdie. He had aura, dude.
Dude, he was aura farming big time. No, I couldn't agree more. That scene when they first opened the gate, he's just standing there,
and he's just, you're like, oh, if I saw that, I would be running if I saw that, you know, like
standing there menacingly. Yeah, no, I mean, he was fucking metal.
Yeah, dude,
he was metal as fuck, dude.
He was. It was really cool too. I also I wasn't sure what John Bernthal's role was going to be in this movie. I thought his role was exactly perfect. You know what I mean? Like, he was in just enough that it wasn't like, oh, we're just throwing John Bernthal in this movie. His character had substance, and then he exits the movie at the right amount of time, I think, you know, like, for what his character was.
Yeah, I happen to, I agree. He really didn't, he wasn't, that is the state of this movie, right? It's Matt Damon, Tom Holland, then Anne Hathaway, and then everyone else in very, very small, different level. I would put the
next one after that at Pattinson, because I think he was in a lot of the movie.
But everyone else is basically...
Dude, you know what I'm going to say is in probably more movie than him, though? I don't know the name of the character, but Odysseus is second in command. That guy that's like...
John. I don't know the character either, but it's John Leguizamo, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. He is in more of the movie, I think. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but I think he's in way more of the movie than Robert Pattinson is. You know what I mean? So like...
Because let's just talk about all the acting roles. I think the standout one, obviously, other than Matt Damon, right? Because it's his movie. He's probably like fucking... It's his narrative, essentially, right? Outside of him, I'm saying Samantha Morton, who played Cersei, man. Holy fucking shit. You know, that was quite literally was only in for like one chapter of the movie, if you will, right? One segment,
maybe
one
even half a chapter, dude, because I don't know how long they actually spent on that island. It might have been like less than 30 minutes.
That performance she gives, unbelievable. And I remember reading something like a couple months ago. It was some Christopher Nolan interview when he talked about how for the first time ever since it only happened one time on set before, and it was Heath Ledger, where everyone kind of like after the take like stopped and like clapped and like was like really geeked out about what happened. And he mentioned it was a performance in this movie. And at the time, obviously, I didn't know who it was. I went and double checked it. It was Samantha Morton he was talking about.
Yeah, dude.
And I couldn't agree more. Dude, I had to look up her name because I was like, who is this? Like, that was the first thing I did when I got out. I'm like, who the fuck played Cersei? Unbelievable. Like, now, is it good enough for a supporting actress? I mean,
okay, the performance is it a significant enough role? You know what I mean? That's the question, right? Is she in enough?
I mean, we're talking movie? Like fucking 4 minutes maybe of screen time. So I don't know,
It's tough
right?
because she's also literally competing with other people in the movie too. I feel like, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, Zendaya, you know what I mean. Like, not that
Yeah.
Zendaya's, but like, if we're being real, who's in more of the movie? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hate that it's a fact. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like,
No,
I don't
but
know if that matters, but like, it is a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
that's one of
yeah.
those things. I mean, I thought
Does that matter? I don't know. Could like a 5-minute performance in a movie win an award? I genuinely don't know. If it's the best 5 minutes of screen time the entire year, probably. But is that ever happened? Fuck if I know. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So she really stood out. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's gonna do supporting actor. I think if I were a betting man, I mean, I think Robert Pattinson's movie is gonna be prime time this year. If I were a betting, I don't think any really will for supporting actor. I think that's the only one. Oh, obviously lead actress, right? But supporting actor, I'm like, I liked Himesh Patel in this. I thought he was really good. Obviously, Tom was really solid. Pattinson was good. I think I like John Leguizamo's performance the best. I mean, playing the blind and all of that. So, and then I mean, if we're just going off of aura, Benny Safdie should win the fucking thing.
100%, yeah.
So,
Aura award, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Ryan Hurst, by the way, shout out Remember the Titans guy who plays Mentor. Mia Goth was in this, dude. There were so many people in this fucking movie.
Like I said, there were so many actors just that snuck into this movie that I love that so many people were wanting to work with Nolan, and he was like, yeah, everybody get in here. We need literally 500 extras a day, so come on, you know, like. By the way, I don't think there was any CGI people in this. Or maybe if there were, it was like a overhead shot or something. I think everybody was a real person, like that we saw in these giant battle scenes. Like, maybe I'm wrong.
I wouldn't fucking doubt it.
Nolan's good enough to have done either or, and we would never know.
It took like a year to film this thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they had so much time, and you'd think they used it. You know what I mean? Like, so, like,
the production probably wasn't a year, but the planning of it all and et cetera, right? Because someone might be like, well, actually, it was.
Yeah, they probably filmed for like longer than an average shoot, I would guess. Yes, especially with reshoots.
You can only do 3-minute takes with that fucking camera.
Yeah, literally. You know what I mean? So they had to shoot it.
Someone we haven't mentioned yet, Charlize Theron as Calypso.
She was good. I feel like she was underserved in the movie a little bit. You know,
is it fair to say
that part of the movie should have been longer? I'll be honest with you, because I feel like we didn't get a vibe for how long he had been there. To be honest with you,
I mean, yeah,
I felt like he was there for like a day.
Yeah, it's literally you know, like I think she's in line with a lot of the other actors and actresses in this movie. Just doing her job, just doing a good job. Nothing otherworldly, just doing a good job, checking a box, right? Like Zendaya, I think, was checking a box. John Bernthal, I think a lot of these guys we expect that of them, and they delivered. I don't think it was anything where we're screaming, give them the Oscar. It was just,
Zendaya didn't have enough lines, I felt like. You know what I mean? Like, she was in a lot of stuff.
For her role.
Yeah. She was,
right?
You know what she was essentially playing? I mean, she's supposed to be playing Athena. She was playing the ghost of his trauma, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, literally. So it's like Sinan was playing the role. Himesh Patel. Himesh Patel, the second in command on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was doing.
That's what I say. I think he was in more of the movie than fucking Pattinson was. You know what I mean? Like, that guy was cool. I liked him a lot. He was giving a lot. I like to see that guy do more in the future, because he gave a lot in that performance. Yeah. He did a really good job of showing like what I imagine it's like if you're a commanding officer underneath another commanding officer who you trust implicitly, is the smartest guy in the room, has gotten you out of thick and thin and kept as many people alive as he could. But you also live in a society that's telling you that if all this is happening, you're probably cursed or something, and and so you're probably starting to question everything. Like, he might be the best guy around, but maybe he fucked up and pissed off the gods,
maybe he did.
Maybe he did. We don't know. Because here's the thing, I would not put it past Nolan to have wrote a movie where the gods exist, but they just don't fuck with anything. Actually, everything is just caused by humans, but they all just use the gods as an excuse. They do actually exist, but like they don't do anything because they don't give a shit about humanity, which is actually really truly how the Greek gods actually kind of were. Like they used humanity for what they needed out of them a lot of times. So at least in some depictions, you know what I mean? So like it was really interesting to see. Can we talk about the effects in this movie, by the way? Because we haven't talked about that yet.
One more actor.
Go ahead.
The one that's most likely going to be nominated, Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
Very big. She went big.
Yes.
Like, there was many moments where she's reaching the like a really high emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think the scene that's going to wrap it all up is the one at the end. Like, not at the end, but the end of the fight, right? The end of the bow fucking gimmick there when all that's going on and the doors opened. That emotional levity that she's bringing, again, it's a very big performance as Penelope. And she's going through every kind of emotional layer you'd think, and she's doing it in a great degree. So I think that's, as of right now, it's probably the best supporting actress that's been unleashed to the world so far this year. And if more than Matt Damon, that's the one that you're like, you can just kind of tell. And it's an actress everyone loves. It's such a big performance.
Weird argument here, but hear me out.
Okay.
I actually think they could run them both in lead. And I think the reason why they can get away with that is because she is very much a lead in the other half of the movie he's not in, you know? Like,
sure, they could.
Will they do that? Probably not. But they could. I think she does enough in the movie to be a lead. If there's two leads. Now, I don't know if there is. I think Matt Damon's the lead, but that's, you know. But if that's not how they see it and they want to run them both, I think they actually have a really decent shot. I mean, it depends on what the other performances look like. I mean, you already have Renata, right? So, but like,
yeah,
you know, but they might have Renata in supporting, you know what I mean? So like, I never know,
never know.
Because that's a 2-person movie. Let's be real. The kids aren't really going to be doing that much in that movie. That's a 2-person movie. So you might not run them both as leads realistically, you know? So
yeah,
maybe you do. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With her, because I think she gives a lead level performance. I'll give it to her. You know, like so.
And then the other, like you were saying, visual effects. We've seen Nolan snub for this before. I don't think you're snubbing it this time.
So this is where we get into the conversation. So I actually don't think there was a whole. I think outside of big gigantic battle sequences, I don't know that we saw a ton of visual effects. Like I think there was.
They were there. They were seamless.
So what I'm saying is, I actually think I'll give you an example. I don't think the Cyclops was, and I think I heard this way back when they were filming that the Cyclops. I think that was an actual person.
Well, either way, they CGI'd it in some aspect.
So no, from what I understood about that, I don't think they used any CGI in that sequence. I think they just forced perspectived it, which sounds insane. Hey. But I think they might have fucking found a way to do it. Like,
maybe, but I don't know.
I think that they went back and touched stuff up afterward to make it look cleaner that didn't look quite perfect on camera? Yeah, absolutely. Because the monsters look too good, right? But I think most of that sequence was done in camera, as crazy as it's going to sound. Like,
maybe.
If not, then fuck whoever put that bullshit ass story out there, straight up. Like, I won't even pretend because it's making me sound like an idiot right now if it's not real. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like, I guess I could have just not brought it up, but it is something that I heard. So, and I think there was a little bit more of that than we even realized because there's many sequences where I'm like, I'll get the one I know for a fact, obviously the fucking giants in their armor. I mean, maybe there was some people on set in armor, but they didn't look like that, you know? I don't think makeup does that, you know? So, at least not to your height. I don't think they got 10 Bjornsons out there, you know what I mean? Like,
no.
Or maybe they did. I don't know. I doubt it. You know, finding one was hard enough. Fucking 10. And there was more than 10 on that fucking island. I'll keep it a stack. So they probably CGI'd some of that, I'm sure. You know, especially once they got far away. Like, I doubt they put a bunch of giant people in fucking suits of armor from that far away. Doubt it. You know what I mean? But I don't think it was like flippantly used. I think he used it to mostly to touch stuff up and make it look, you know, more realistic or whatever. And then like there are obviously sequences where they needed to do it, like you know, because inevitably, like for example, I don't think there was ever a siren on set. I don't think they ever existed on set. I think they were just off in the distance and they added them afterward, you know?
Yeah, right.
Watch that be one of the things they did practically. That's what I was saying. You never know with Nolan. He finds ways to do things you would not be able to do normally without CGI. So I'm just like putting up there. I do think there was like a decent amount. I just don't think there's any way you could tell in this movie, like you mentioned before. Like, it's just so well done that I don't know that there's, there's no Punisher falling onto a fucking box that explodes into smaller boxes. You know what I mean? Like, I still can't believe people got upset about that, but I'm gonna keep bringing it up. What was the thing I was like that for me last year? I can't remember, but something that just sticks in my head, and I just keep bringing it up. But it was the lack of fire and fucking Fire and Ash. That was what it was. Avatar Ash.
So,
anyway,
so yeah, let's go through these. So, Best Picture, we've talked about why.
Yeah,
I think now it's jumping. I think now it's putting it at a solid number 1 or number 2 for predictions, just because
for right now, yeah. Until we
don't
see
think
the
it's
movies.
Don't think there's any way it's not getting nominated for Best Picture. To be honest, it's universally loved. We haven't even mentioned the scores yet. 89 on Metacritic.
Before you do that, I wanted to say, going into this weekend, I believe the tracking was like $120 million fucking for the US and like 250 million worldwide. So in theory, if that's the case, it made the production budget back. Let me be clear, production budget. It still has a lot of money to make before it can say it made its money back, because obviously, for one, this is a very heavily marketed movie, so they probably spent more than the average movie on marketing, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Beyond that, it's a fucking blockbuster. Of course, it's just inherently there's going to be more money put into this than other movies, right? In terms of what is going into the output. So they probably only need to make about as much as they made in the first weekend again to actually break even. You know what I mean? And then after
it's
that,
tracking for 257.8 with
so
a 250.
That,
yep.
And that's not even accounting for worldwide, by the way. They'll probably hit that just off domestic from next week if it goes up at all. You know what I mean? So, and I do think this is a movie where we won't see it necessarily tick up, but we won't see it drop off by like more than 20-30% or something like that. You know what I mean? Because maybe more than that, but like not like the huge 50% drop off we usually see with big movies, right? Because I just think that the word of mouth and the fact that every IMAX seat was sold out in the theater that I was going to today, and tomorrow, I think as well, I think implies to me that like everyone is gonna go see this movie. You know what I mean? So like I think it's gonna view just fine that way. I just wanted to throw that in there before you get into the numbers, because I feel like without even knowing the numbers, the theater I was in was packed today. Every seat pretty much in the theater that I was in was filled, and that was just for standard, not even IMAX, so like I just have to say like that this movie, I would be mind blown if it didn't at the very least make its money back and then fucking make a huge profit. Like, if I'm being real,
Yeah.
like I just wanted to throw that in there because it was something that kind of occurred to me while I was there. I mean, because I didn't know. I mean, it's an IP that's fucking super old. You know what I mean? Like that had fucking don't even know the last time they did an adaptation, if they ever have tried to do an adaptation of this story. You know what I mean? Like, so you just don't know. It's Nolan and it's going to be big, but you just, we talked about this. If it sucks, it's going to die really quickly. You know what I mean? Which wasn't going to suck. I knew that already, but like, so it was kind of a weird situation going into this movie. And then now walking out of it, it's like, no, I think if you ever thought this was not going to be what it is, you were kind of deluding yourself a little bit, because I mean, yeah, was there a 0.1% chance that the movie bombs? Maybe. I would have been fucking shocked though. So what's it doing numbers wise? Like I know critically it was doing pretty well the last time I looked. So
yeah. So yeah, the 89 on Metacritic's really strong. That's what you're looking for, is a strong Metacritic. And then Rotten Tomatoes, 95% critic and 97 audience. So pretty much everyone's going to it and getting something out of it, right? I think that's the fair thing to say. And that's what you're hoping for when we're looking at this, right? I mean, straight up, you're hoping that people are enjoying it. And Letterboxd set a 4.3. So as kind of a rule of thumb last year was, if you're at a 3.3 to a 4.1 on Letterboxd, we'll probably up that a little bit this year, maybe say 3.5 to 4.1. I think it's a very strong Letterboxd curve for the most part, because Letterboxd is really just, people that love the movies are using that site. It's mostly
regular people. It's not like there's a lot of critics on there, but that's not the majority of people reviewing movies on Letterboxd.
It's like the perfect hybrid, and it's sitting at a 4.3. So I think you're getting very strong reactions. And what that means is I think people will be passionate about the movie. So like you said, and 257.8 million tracking as we're recording this on a Saturday night.
fuck, if Digger and Dune turned out to be like the two best movies of the year or something like that, there will be very upset people that this movie is not the one that's like tracking to be like
Sure.
in winning all the awards, because it's going to be people's favorite movie of the year. I guarantee it. Like this will be one of three movies people see this year. It'll be the best one that they probably see, for being real. You know what I mean? Like in terms of its actual overall quality, right? Like
Maybe, yeah. So Best Picture for sure. We're probably going to have it at number 1. I don't think we're going to put La Bola Negra at number 1 because we haven't seen it yet. And, you know, it feels like a safe number 1 going forward until October when these other ones come out. Best Director, I think Nolan's got to be in your top 5 now. I mean, this is the kind of movie where he could win Best Director and the movie doesn't win Best Picture. Like his directing's fucking so good, and we might be in a year where that is the case, right? We're always wondering when we're going to jump back to that, because it's usually someone that is not, you know, it's vice versa, right? You could win Best Picture and not win Best Director. Hypothetically, maybe if you often do win Best Picture, but if it's a first timer, like if it is La Bola Negra, it'll probably double up for Best Picture and Best Director, for example, right? But, you know, with Nolan, he might just take the fucking thing. And he might not have to win Best Picture. I think Nolan's going to be a fucking heavy
There's
lock.
a scenario where this movie could get like lead. It could win like lead. I don't know. Again, these performances are insane. So hold my fucking horses here, but just keep with me for a second. It could win lead. It could win script and win director and not win Best Picture. That is a scenario that could happen. You know what I mean? Like
could happen. So that's 2. Picture director. We'll say for now, Matt Damon. We kind of talked about this before we started the show, but I think he's going to be, I think a lot of people are going to have him in the range of 4 through 7 still. And here, what does that mean, right? Maybe someone's like, oh, what do you mean by 4 through 7?
To think what the comp would be for last year, the person that was like sitting at that 5th slot and just never moved. And I could see him being similar. Like
maybe like, I mean, could it be Michael B. Jordan? And Michael B. Jordan ended up getting
all
the
way to the end, and it really worked out for him. So you know,
yeah,
it could.
I think Michael B. Jordan was number 5 for like fucking so much last year, but
then he did drop out for a bit. So if Matt Damon drops out, don't get it twisted. He could be back. It depends on how things go.
Because there's a couple things right now that, and I think the needle you're going to see a lot of people thread right now, and we'll probably play with this too, is Matt Damon 5, Ryan Gosling 6. And just kind of see where that takes you. That gives us some breathing room here for watching Fjord, for watching Pedro Pascal Behemoth, Wild Horse 9, Digger, even this Andrew Scott thing that we're getting some rumbling about. So we'll keep an eye on all that. He was great last year in that fucking Sony Classic movie we saw with Ethan Hawke. The great script is the fucking one rumor.
Blue Moon.
Yeah, Andrew Scott was great in that last year, and it sounds like he's got a leading role this year. So, so Matt Damon, potential number 3. Number 4, Anne Hathaway. I mean, we kind of went over it pretty heavily, Duke, but this was the one we had I feel like for months have been making a passionate plea, like this makes a lot of sense given the trends. If she's good, not only was she good, but she played a big performance. There's so many clips from this that you could take from it, right? Like genuinely, sometimes you just got to look at it. What could they take for the Oscar? She's got a lot of the big moments here. I mean,
also like you don't want to say to add to her performance. There's a scene that we really didn't talk about where she kind of lays everything out on the table for Telemachus and like explains how the situation that he wants, where she leaves and he gets to be king. Yeah, it's not just gonna just be good for them, you know, like, and how like, yeah, she's maybe been acting a little bit selfishly by not allowing him to, you know, seize power or whatever. But like, the only reason he hasn't probably had his throat slit while he's sleeping is because of the fact that she's been putting this ruse on for so long, you know, like, I don't think he ever really realized that up until that moment. Like, no, dude, you don't just become king and then everything's great. Every single one of those men that wants the throne now isn't going to stop wanting it because there's a kid on it now, you know? You become the biggest target in Ithaca instantly, if you're not already, you know? So...
literally.
And her laying that out and explaining that it's not just because but it's heavily motivated selfishly by the fact that she's always been shit on by the society, and she finally got some power under her fucking belt because of circumstances, and now it's all going to be for the entire 7 years that he's been gone. They're trying to rip it away from her and just throw her in the dirt again to be somebody else's pawn. And it's just, it again, like, you know, it's why I compared it to House of the Dragon, because House of the Dragon is doing a very similar thing with some of its characters right now in this current season, where they are embodying the way society has pushed down on certain classes and people. But I think that's the scene that wins her the Oscar if it does, you know, like,
yeah. No, and at least just getting this freaking nomination, you know. So that's 4 with her. Adapted screenplay. I mean, got to feel pretty good about that right now. We've been talking about
we've
just
talked
in
about
general
2 different things that I think Hail Mary had like a fucking Billy shot in the dark at, right? This is one of them in my opinion so far. I'm like, I think what scripts have been better, you know what I mean? Right? There's been a few, not many though, you know what I mean? So I think Hail Mary was, at least in my mind, still maybe at least talking about for adapted, right? What do you think this movie does to Hail Mary? Because they're both adaptations, obviously completely different genres, right? But 2 big fan favorite movies of the year, I suspect, right? So what do you think this does to Hail Mary? Do you think this is like the fucking shot to the fucking gut to Hail Mary? Or do you think, as of right now, they're just 2 movies that are both very strong?
I think, as of right now, this one's, I think, definitely going to get the nod over it.
I feel this one's pulling ahead. Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But I think they're both very strong. I think if we were doing an adapted screenplay thing right now, we'd probably have it, you know, La Bola Negra, The Odyssey, Project Hail Mary, and then we'd keep an eye on what's coming out, right? Like, is Sense and Sensibility going to happen? The Invite, which apparently is all in the script, is that going to happen? All of a sudden, Ink, you know, a lot of these other movies. I think Project Hail Mary and Odyssey and La Bola Negra are going to be comfortable right now, right?
Sure.
Unless there's a really big push for The Invite, I think that's when you could start to see maybe Hail Mary start to slip.
Yeah.
And then once it starts slipping, right, that's when
we've talked about this for this movie. The Odyssey has basically, I think, secured its bag at this point in terms of avoiding this, unfortunately, for Hail Mary. And it's not that Hail Mary wasn't good enough, it's just a different kind of movie, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like, and I think maybe in a different year, but like, I think it's just unfortunate for Hail Mary that because of when it came out, which was really early, which the fact that it's still sticking around at this point, it's fucking so great for that movie's chances, right? But still a lot of time left.
A lot of time.
And so opinions can change. And so, but that being said, as of right now, I'm with you. I don't think it moves right now, but I do think, like you said, all it's going to take is one other movie. Because if these movies, as good as they are, a lot of what is carrying them is how much people loved them, right? You know what I mean? So, like, they also have a lot of great content within them. And we've seen plenty of movies that have fucking incredibly well made, that have a lot of really good performances in them that don't even get nominated for anything, you know? I mean, sorry, baby, last year. What are we doing, you know? But, like, it's like, and that's just the reality sometimes. So, like, so these movies that are very, like, these are the kinds of movies, I guess the best way to put this is, a movie at the Oscars that people will actually have seen that aren't like me and you, you know, like, and I love when we get these movies in here, but the fucking double-edged sword with that is that if there's more than one or more than a couple that are really solid, you know, I mean, the fact that these 2 movies have come out, I don't think Doomsday ever had a chance at Best Picture, but if it ever did, it's dead now. You know what I mean? Like,
Doomsday, no. Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Like, if Doomsday was the biggest movie coming out this year, like if there was no Dune, there was no Odyssey, and there was no Hail Mary, and no other movies that we thought maybe would have been as big that could have potentially knocked it down a tier or 2, maybe it is actually potentially a top 10 movie of the year. You know, maybe. Who knows? Maybe there's not any other blockbuster fan favorites. That's what I'm getting at. Now that this precedent has been established, I don't think we've had an Avengers movie released in a year when this precedent's been established. You know what I mean? So
that's
in
fair.
Theory, you know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
It could be the 10th movie, just like, I mean, fucking F1 is so much different than everything else that we had last year. To me, that's as different as an MCU movie is going to be. And we've also already had an MCU movie nominated for Best Picture. So it's like, you know, like, technically, you know what I mean? But I mean, not even technically. You're not technically in Black Panther. That's one of the fucking best comic book movies ever made. You know what I mean? But like, and you can at me if you disagree, but but and if it's not for like racially motivated reasons, because I'm not going to have that debate with you, but I'm not, there are plenty of people that will explain to you why you're an idiot on the internet if you just make that opinion vocal. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, I think it sucks, but that could happen. I don't think it's happening right now, but it's something I was thinking about because I was like, man, a lot of these categories we're talking about, that's similar fucking. They're parking in the like. There's not enough parking spaces in the shuttle bay, and Hail Mary's in the space they need. This is not looking good, like.
Yes, and that's been the thing we've been saying, right? Like, a lot of these ones have been falling. This one just comfortably secured its spot ahead of it.
100%.
So
at least for now, unless something else comes along, but I don't think it will.
Sure,
that's
yes, but even if something else comes along and secures it ahead of this, that theoretically is bumping Hail Mary, right?
Correct, right. This is now just where Hail Mary is right now, which is in that next spot down, which who knows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Casting. Maybe?
I mean, no brainer, I feel like, right? At least for a nomination, even if it doesn't win. I mean,
because it's a big cast with a lot of celebrities, right? It just depends on if they're going to do that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
We still just don't know how they want to do this award sometimes.
What movies were in contention last year? Because this can give us some context, or at least for what might get nominated, right?
Yeah.
Because we already talked about this last year. Just because one movie won and one movie didn't last year, the circumstances were so odd that I don't know that we know anything about casting yet still.
Exactly. Because we had One Battle and Sinners both get in here. And then you also had your Marty Supreme. You had your it was a smaller stable. Maybe it was Sentimental Value.
Will this year be like Hail Mary, this movie, fucking
in a
Doomsday,
way,
and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's gonna be like that, but is that what it's gonna be now that they have bigger movies with a lot more people in them? There wasn't as many last year. Like,
I think for predictions right now, just easy to have it up there for a little bit. But so that would be what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe right now. So that's number 6 casting. Cinematography. I think
there were some that was really good. I think.
Yeah. You already know that I really loved cinematography. There's one thing that bugged me about it. The fucking shaky cam, man. Nolan does it every time. He loves doing it, especially in the fights. You sometimes have to guess what's going on a little bit, but he used to do that with Batman. So I think
shaky cam, when used well, it can be a tool for a director.
Sure.
That's all I'll say. I won't say whether or not I think he did or didn't in this. I'll let people decide for themselves. But
yeah, there is some shaky cam involved,
like that.
Though.
Note that I'm phrasing it like that and not saying this movie has really good shaky cam in it. Just throwing that out there too. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But outside of that, I think, it's the spectacle, right? You want to talk about the beautiful shots with these practical fucking boats in the ocean and shit, and all the entering in the cave, the shooting of the cave, right? Just so many things, and how it encompassed the nature of all these different places that they visited for the sets, all the beautiful stuff. All of that's applied to cinematography. So again, some shaky cam aside in fights, I think it's unbelievably fucking great, right? So
I think that was also and I know I've done this a couple times now, and I'm not just trying to be the biggest defender of this movie ever, but like, I think as a choice in those fights, if it had been in anything but fights, right? Because of the message of this movie, I think that actually makes sense, because it's showing you that intensity. Maybe this is how it would feel if you were like actually running through a battle, like,
sure,
you might not be able to keep a good sense of what's going on around you. You might have your head swiveling around a little bit like that, like,
yeah,
and not be fully on your feet. It's just supposed to get you into the intensity at the moment, realistically, from like a filmmaking perspective, right? So I don't know.
But just encompassing all the different sets and all the different beaches. Every beach that they went to felt specific, and I think that's a test of cinematography. And that's a test of some of the other stuff we'll get into in a minute, but how they captured it,
How about
really
that
beautiful
long
stuff.
tracking shot through the second battle section of Troy? That thing was insane. You know what I mean?
Yep. And we know these fucking things tap out at 3 minutes, so,
yeah, so
think about it. You had to plan that meticulously.
Oh, yeah. You had to go, all right, 3 minutes, all right, everyone stop. All right, everyone get back in the same place. We're starting again. Go. You know what I mean? Like straight up. Like, you know what I mean?
And it sounds like a fucking lawnmower.
So you would have to plan the shots in a way that like every time that you're not like able to go behind a object and like, you know, you can just cut the shot to a different shot or whatever. Like they probably had to remember how like 1917 had to get creative with the way that they were like, I'm sure when you're shooting in IMAX, you kind of have to do that so that shit doesn't look like it's not connected. You know what I mean? From an editing perspective. Right. So, it's got to be wild.
But I'm popping this to number 1 in cinematography for now. I think it's we gotta wait and see Dune, right? Like that's, I mean, really.
Well, yeah, Dune.
But it's jumping ahead of Hail Mary. I think we gotta wait and see Digger, obviously. But those are the 4 that you're looking at, and you're like, okay, these are our 4 big ones. What's coming along with it? Obviously, editing. I mean, come on. He always gets acclaimed for his editing.
New gimmick, like it's a 3-hour movie and it works, so it has to win editing or not win editing. It has to be nominated for editing, right?
I mean, it's how
and script is that just inherently going to be a thing if it's 3 hours and it works at all? Those two
maybe,
things
but I think Nolan always gets love for his editing. He just has touch to it. It's this kinetic touch that he has, and the flow. It's just so beautiful. That's just what he does. I wonder how many times he's been nominated for fucking editing. Now I have to look. It's probably a few. So yeah, he knows a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to editing. That's for sure. I wonder
what Nolan's assembly cuts look like.
Probably fucking awesome.
Yeah, I wonder how much the movie's already basically done. Because, you know, he does, we haven't really talked about this. Part of the reason why he wins Best Director is because he's, I think, got one of the best pre-production planning. Like, I think he might be like one of the best at like part of what being a good director is. And a lot of people will say it's, oh, well, you know, the budget isn't quite being able to work within that budget. And like you don't quite have the money to do what you want, but you make it work by using duct tape and fucking, and like there's a respectable nature to that. Like if you're the director that can with $10,000 make a $30 million movie quality wise, go for it. If you can do that and that's your thing, great. And we should praise that level of ingenuity. To me, being a good director is what Nolan does, which is he looks at the amount of money that he's going to have for the movie. In this case, it was infinite, right? But like it obviously had a number on it at some point, right? Yeah. There was probably a limit, even if we joked that it was a blank check. It was probably the highest limit he's ever had in his career, but there was a limit.
I mean, how many millions do you think he spent on that fucking cast?
100%.
And remember the thing we heard about Pattinson? Pattinson was the only person that read the script first and said yes to him after. Everyone else accepted before they even read the script. That's Nolan.
Yeah. I'm curious why he thought he might be, maybe he wasn't sure what his role was going to be, you know? I'm not sure, but
I think every actor should read the fucking script.
If it's Nolan, I feel like they understand, you know.
Sure.
At this point.
That's what separates Mr. fucking Bobby ahead of them all.
Sure. That's why he's booked and busy right now.
Motherfucker's going to make sure.
Hey.
He's going to make sure if he picked that movie.
Why he's not been in any shit movies in a long time.
Yes, he's going to make fucking sure. So, and he's going to make sure he can probably deliver that character the way he wants to.
That might be what it is. Like maybe he got it pitched to him before he got the script. Like, hey, I want you to play this character. He's like, really? You see me as that? And, you know, maybe it was one of those situations. Yeah, I think he's just so good at pre-production planning everything to make sure that it lines up so perfectly. Because everything I've ever heard is like Nolan is like, you would think because of how precise and how fucking like sniper like he is with his editing and stuff like that. Like you would think that he's like a like fucking complete, you know, totalitarian on set. And my understanding is it is actually the opposite. Like Nolan wants you to do it the way he wants you to do it, but it's not like he's gonna be like, all right, and we're moving on. Like if you want to play within that character, I don't know how much it actually ends up making the movie. I don't know, but like he's not completely unwilling to work and collaborate. I think it's just one of those things. It's like him and a few other directors you just kind of know. Like, okay, I might think I know what's right for this movie, and maybe I do. But at the end of the day, Nolan knows what he wants, and he wouldn't have done this in the way that he's doing it if he didn't think he could do it.
Yes.
And he didn't have a plan in place to get there. So I think you start trusting in that plan so much that then it allows you to open yourself up to deliver that good performance, to find that incredible shot, to find that incredible beat of story while you're writing the thing or whatever, you know, like, I think it's one of those unique things that I think that's why he's such a good director, because yes, he's collaborative, but he knows what it takes to do. He doesn't just say, okay, and then we're going to have a sequence where fucking 50 Spider-Men flip into the sky and we all see them flying on practical ropes. And it's like, no, that's going to be too expensive, man. What the fuck are you doing? You know, go rewrite that. Doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard so many writers talk about, like, yeah, we wrote it this way, but then they said, we don't have enough money for that. And I'm not saying that you should like be writing frugally. What I'm saying is Christopher Nolan knows what he fucking wants when he sits down and writes the script, and he's not unrealistic about it, you know? Like, he knows what he can and what his crew can accomplish, and he doesn't push them beyond those limits, in my opinion. He puts them in a position to succeed, which is what a great director does, you know? Does that mean that he's in complete control? No, because the movies wouldn't get made as great as they were if he was constantly lording over what everyone was doing and deciding, nope, you have no power here. I am the king of Ithaca. Like, no, like
I am.
You get what I'm saying? I didn't mean to tangent this much, but like I just feel like that's a really underrated part of Nolan is like he just understands filmmaking on a level that he knows how to budget, you know?
Yeah.
Something I feel like it's not really.
And I mean, speaking of that, I think it directly tied into the production design.
My long point here, working with your limitations is great. He doesn't let the limitations be limitations. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what he has, you know, like. So,
fair.
But yeah, production design. I mean, how does it not get nominated for this movie? Productions and costumes, both. Honestly, like
production, costume, and then I think maybe makeup and hairstyle.
I think what would be the makeup? Maybe for what would be the makeup that you're thinking of?
I mean, probably that fucking beast.
Yeah. If that was truly a person, yeah, probably, yeah. For the Cyclops, I could see it.
And just in general, I mean, they all look kind of fucking. No, hold on. We're overthinking this. The aging up of Matt Damon.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that's
honestly, you know, it sounds crazy. I've seen a lot of interviews with the guy recently. They didn't have to age him up that much, you know, like
but they aged him up pretty good in the movie, like pretty fucking perfectly.
I think it's a better way to put it. The when they made him look younger earlier in the movie was way better. They did a better job of that, I think.
That is simply enough. Everything else is bonus, and there's a lot of really good, you know.
No, I think you kind of nailed it. I think if it's anything, it's got to be the Cyclops, because that definitely was.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be a part of it.
That was a person in the movie. You know what I mean? Like that you could tell that wasn't CGI, at least not fully. You know what I mean? Like so.
And then the one I don't think it's jumping ahead of Project Hail Mary with, the only one so far, I think, is visual effects. I think Project Hail Mary is still firmly at number one. Yeah,
because that sequence in the middle of Hail Mary visually is one of the most intense things I've ever seen in a theater.
Yes.
So, you know.
Oh my God, we haven't mentioned this
visually
yet.
Like that in this movie, obviously. So, at least nothing on that scale. So, like, yeah. It's tough to beat that, you know? Yes. That might have been the VFX shot of the year, you know? Like.
Yes. I don't even think, I think Dune and Avengers are going to have a hard time topping that. Genuinely.
How cool is that? Something you don't actually get to experience on page, but it did happen in the book, but we didn't get to see it because we obviously don't get to go and, you know, grace his head, you know what I mean, in the book. I mean, we do, but we don't get to see what he's seeing because he's not a real person, right? You know what I mean? He's a book character, right? So being able to visualize what he was having in that moment was such a cool thing that movie did. You know, like, that's why that might win because it's just like, holy shit. An addition to this movie's might actually be the best part of it. Is insane. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. There's parts of this movie that are like that too, though. Like where like I can't stop thinking about the Cyclops, dude. I mean, that thing was insane. You know,
it was. It looked sick too. I love that whole sequence.
Agamemnon's armor needs to be in a museum, by the way, that they made for this movie.
It did. It was perfect.
It looked so sick.
That's your costume right there. Like
shit. Can we do a movie just about that guy and just have fucking Benny Safdie play Agamemnon battling, and maybe bring Matt Damon back too in that movie and have him be Odysseus just fighting in the battles? Like, I'm down. That's how crazy this movie is. I want to see the other parts of the story that we heard about that we didn't see. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
Like,
give me a taste.
Give me a little taste. Come on, Benny Safdie as an aura farming fucking
dude. It was kind of like fucking when the gates opened and like Darth Maul's standing there in the Phantom Menace.
Dude. It's like when they opened.
Like genuinely,
it was almost the same level. That's crazy. Oh,
so good.
Benny Safdie needs to play.
We haven't talked about one thing that it probably is gonna. It might even win for sound. This movie's fucking loud.
It's
man.
loud and it's like it's
It is a loud, powerful movie.
The sequences in Troy are like some of the most cacophonous battle sequences I've ever seen in my life. I mean, when there's towers crashing down, you hear the flames going by the camera, it sounds like. You know what I mean? Like, you'll hear like swoosh, like you'll feel the pressure. I can't wait till those clips are,
dude, they really were. I mean, there was a fucking jump scare one time with Lupita Nyong'o's character.
That was great.
Yeah. So, God, so cool. So sound, score, Ludwig, I think it's safe to say. It's just, again, he continues to try new stuff with scoring, and that would put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 nominations with Matt Damon. I mean, that just sounds about right, doesn't it?
It does. It might, it could be a situation where it gets like 11 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like in real life, like who knows?
So maybe taking out casting, taking out Matt Damon,
theoretically, if it's
and maybe
not
visual
what they're going
effects.
For. Yeah, like if we find out, we find out casting is just going to be like here's for the fan favorite movies award, because there just wasn't that, like a lot of that was going to be winning it last year, or just two movies were kind of undeniable casting wise last year. Like, since it doesn't feel like, am I crazy to say this? So far this year, we have that in really anything so far that we had last year in terms of, oh my God, these casts are so ridiculous. Look at them. Oh my God. Right. We have like two of those so far in this and Hail Mary, maybe, if you want to consider those both to be like, they have pretty thick casts and like just about everyone in them delivers, right. But then Hail Mary runs into there's a bunch of side characters.
Because the only one that had released so far that we thought early on maybe was Michael. Like, that's it. I mean,
yeah, because it had some actors.
Nothing else is like a casting movie. We still know, like, Wild Horse 9 is going to be casting, right?
Sure.
And Digger probably.
Sure.
That's two. Like, that's it. I mean, Odyssey, it could get in there. La Bola Negra, that might be your Secret Agent / Marty Supreme type cast.
Mm-hmm.
How that works out, I don't know. It's going to be fucking awesome.
It'll be
going to be cool to see.
100%.
But other than that, I mean, I think that's it for today, dude. I mean, anything else you want to touch on? Just an awesome movie. I think it's going to be one that, like we said, it's going to be fun to check it out again when we get the chance.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
To really just to get that second viewing and unlike fucking like how people talk about Tenet, I think you can actually still enjoy the movie even more, right, as you're going through. And that fucking guy that rage baits himself every time.
I don't think you can fully understand the movie until the second.
Yeah.
So,
and also, I have to point out the fact that he cut that one there's one of the most infamous shots from all the marketing he cut from the fucking movie. That's like such a beautiful shot when they're on the beach pulling up the horse. It wasn't even in the fucking movie. I tell you, Christopher Nolan just does it like anyone else, bro. Like, he doesn't give a fuck, dude. He doesn't care.
Like, you thought that was good? I didn't think it was needed for the movie. So
check it out in my fucking 3 hours, 70-minute extended cut.
God, I really hope he does have an extended cut of this somewhere. I'm so down.
So sick. And I guess one last little bit before we get out of here, as you guys know, we like to end with kind of talking about the trailers, and it's I don't know, it's almost like a view towards the future, if you will. We get a little taste of what's coming next, and maybe some stuff sticks out to us a little more than others. But Duke, since I went first on the review, you are first on trailers. What'd you have for us today there,
indeed,
buddy old pal, Chiefy?
Squiling. All right. Yeah, so I sat down at we were running late, I'll be honest, but I don't think I missed any trailers. So let me do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8's usually the standard. Does that sound right?
Holy shit. Yep, it's fucking insane when you think about it, but yes.
Got them all. So first thing we saw, there is a Sylvester Stallone biopic, I think.
Yes,
called I Play Rocky? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's playing Sly?
The kid fucking pulled it off, though. Sure. Anthony Ippolito.
So an Italian gentleman, it seems like.
Yep.
Which I think Stallone is Italian, I'm guessing. I don't know. Anyway, even if he's not, he looks enough like Sly. It's fine. You know what I mean? And he sounds like him. No real thoughts on this other than, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna go to the theater to see this one.
Thing that
unless I
popped
hear
me
some
with
really
the
good things about
trailer.
it.
You sound like you talk with rocks in your mouth.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't even do a Sly impression.
I couldn't try. That's why I'm like, hey, good on the kid. You pulled it
100%, 100%. Yeah,
You got the look too.
he does.
The fucking eyes,
and
man.
that way he like holds his mouth. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We talked a lot about that when we talked about the Trump movie. Anyway,
Yes.
I can't remember what it was called. But
And Springsteen.
yeah, yes, true. Yes, physical playing the character is a thing. I even think they did it with Dylan in A Complete Unknown. I think
Straight up,
physically,
if
the way
this
Timmy
movie
played it-
hits, dude, this could
Yeah.
be an acting performance
100%.
because it's a person everyone fucking knows. So
Yeah, actually, this is one I need to tell my dad about because he's a pretty big fan of.
there
of
you
Rocky.
go. And I think you're going to see a lot of dads that like to go that like this kind of movie, that want to see this
He
movie.
probably won't go to the theaters to see it.
No,
though, I'll say
but just in general, like
yeah,
you know, they'll see it on and be like, ah, fuck it. I like
Dad's an
Rocky.
old man, you know, he doesn't do stuff anymore except sleep, which he probably needs to. You know.
Sleep.
Anyway, I got a trailer for Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Just give me the movie already. 2 weeks. Tell me 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 fucking weeks. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I want it today, but obviously I saw the Odyssey today, so I would have had to do a double feature. Which could you imagine if we had that double feature? Holy Lord, that would be fucking insane. It'd also be like 5.5 hours at the movie theater or something like that. So
Hell yeah. I
would actually do it too. I got the Dune 3 trailer, which I've seen probably 11 million times at this point, but you know, I'm never mad when I see it because I got to see our boy fucking Timmy
It's
Tim,
unreal.
about 30, you know, fucking ripping it up, looking like an absolute fiend, seeing the future. Got the trailer for Digger as well. I'm just ready for it. I saw more than I had seen so far, and I see what people are saying about John Goodman now, and I had no clue what kind of performance we were getting out of Tom Cruise. Wild looking stuff, you know, like
Yeah, dude.
What's weird was I didn't notice a lot of people laughing at the trailer. Quiet crowd today. Not sure what that was about, you know?
Fair.
Yeah, I really would have expected them to laugh at some of the stuff, you know what I mean? But maybe they just haven't thrown any of the good jokes in yet. I got a trailer for a movie called By Any Means. No thoughts on this whatsoever. Just I got a trailer for it, so let me look up what this one actually was about. It was like some weird shit that I wasn't that into.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this one.
Let me look this up.
Paramount movie with Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on, movie. I gotta look it up. Thanks. All right. Oh. Okay, actually, hold on. Rephrase. I won't say that it had like no interest from me. It's like about like a mafia hitman teaming up with like a young black FBI agent, and they're like, there's like racism murders happening in Mississippi. Like it's got something to it. I just the trailer did nothing for me. Is what I was more thinking.
Fair.
So like, it's got an interesting premise. Many things do, you know. So, anyway, I got a teaser for. I think it would technically class as a teaser because I didn't really see anything for prime time, and man, this looks like it's going to be interesting. Like,
yeah,
I don't even know what bro Robert is playing in this movie, but it seems crazy. You know, like, not sure what to take away from this other than it looks like it's going to be fucking crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know what it's going to be, but it looks insane.
He's playing Chris Hansen,
right? But like the way that with all the screen, there's a horror element to this or something.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, we don't. I like you said, it's a teaser. I saw this too. I can't wait to see an actual trailer.
Way they phrase it because Chris Hansen is a little bit like he's not like I don't think anyone hates the guy, but I don't think he's got like in good graces with society now because like post. A Dateline NBC kind of went on like a media tour, you know, trying to promote his own shit, and I think he like did some shady business shit or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think it's gonna have anything to actually do with real Chris Hansen because that's not the vibe I got from this trailer. So if that is what it actually is, they gotta do some better marketing then, or not falsely advertise because if Because I'll be honest, if it's just like a Chris Hansen movie, then I'm gonna feel like I was falsely advertised to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't really know what it's going to be, but it might be about him like making the show. Like, who knows?
Sure.
Yeah. Apparently, though, the word is Pattinson's fucking insane in this movie.
Yeah, based on the way he's acting in this little thing that we get, I don't think it's. That's why I say I think there's a horror vibe to it. I just don't. It does.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it's not going to be a horror movie, but it's got like a ethereal, not ethereal, but like an eerie vibe to what was going on. So again, unless that's just them like really playing that up because he dealt with, you know, obviously the whole child predator thing, like sure, but like I just hope that this is not like a complete misfire of a trailer in that way. You get what I'm saying? I think I hope that's actually what they're going for here, and that wasn't just like a weird vibe that I took from it. I got this trailer, and man, I didn't think anything was going to make me like sad when I went to the movie theater. Look, she's in a movie with a couple of really famous people, but this is not what I pictured for Ariana Grande, Charlie next in her acting career. This new Fockers movie, I don't even know what the fuck it's called, but like, have you seen these Focker movies before where it's like fucking, anyway, they're not spectacularly good comedies in my opinion. They're fine, but
correct.
It's from that era of comedies that were just like, they were just making comedies because they were making money at the box office or whatever. And like, that diminished so much. If you ever look up this franchise, I think John Campea has talked about this. If you look up this franchise, it used to be marketable. It used to be a bankable franchise. And then they just kept making them when they didn't need to.
Yeah.
And eventually it stopped making money. Didn't John talk about when this movie was announced before, with no Ariana Grande or anything attached or anything like that? Didn't he specifically bring this movie up and be like, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea because they've been making less money over time with these? Like,
it's like, who the fuck cares kind of thing? Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering and applying something else that he said.
No, that sounds right.
Yeah, so either way. If not, then you could apply all the things that he probably said about whatever movies he was talking about. It probably is similar for this franchise.
It's not a good trailer either.
No, and she doesn't even look funny in it.
Yeah.
I'm sad for her, I'll be honest. Not what I was hoping. Like I said, not what I was hoping for her to come off.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll come out and it'll be fucking hilarious, right? That's the hope.
I mean, the last one of these I saw was fine. I'm more disappointed on behalf of her than I am anything that this was the next thing that she has that comes out, because it's gonna have that effect where, like, if this movie isn't like awesome and like a top 5 comedy of the year or something, like, I feel like people will remember that, oh, that the last time I saw her was a movie I didn't have any interest in seeing, and now, and that didn't do anything because I never heard anything about it. So now what? You know, like, what's she gonna do for this next movie? Like, yeah, it makes me a little sad, but whatever, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. It was a trailer I saw, so I had to be honest. And then the last one that I got, which is probably the one that I was, you know, other than obviously the movies that I'm just gonna see regardless already, this is the one that I took away the most from, that I was like, okay, we'll probably have to see this one. And that was Other Mommy. And at first, and I gotta give them so much credit for this, the way this first like 30 seconds goes, I thought I was watching a commercial.
Yeah.
And then like a piece of dialogue happens and a shift in the tone happens. And you know you're in a horror movie all of a sudden. And you're like, oh, fuck. And you know what I think's crazy? I think the little girl is going to be the one running from the... Like, I don't... Like, the dad will be involved. I think we're going to be rooted in that little girl's perspective the whole movie.
Probably, yeah. I'd love that.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just overhyping my idea, but I think that's the way I took it from this scene. You know what I mean? If that's just the way they showed it because of this one scene that they showed, sure. But like, I hope that's the case, because that could do some things. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't have any idea what this movie was. Never heard of it up until seeing you say something about it to me, literally today, I think. You know what I mean? And I was like, hopefully I get that trailer. That'd be sick. You know what I mean? And then I did, and I was like, holy shit, that looks awesome.
That is a proper fucking trailer.
Yes.
Sometimes there's just marketing that you can be like, damn, that was good. Like this, I've never heard of this one.
The one that we didn't watch last year, weirdly, that had this kind of marketing was fucking Keeper. We need to get back around to that one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That one looked good.
It did. And it's got that Tatiana Maslany. She's great. Yeah. No, so Yeah, Other Mommy, dude. This one, never heard of it. Holy shit. That was a real fucking trailer right there. October released. I think this one's going to be fun. And the only other trailer I got that you didn't, I only watched 3 trailers. I had Digger, One Night Only, and Other Mommy. So I saw One Night Only trailer again. I've probably seen this trailer at least 10 times now. Here's the thing. We're going to see it. It's an August movie. I think the movie's going to be good. It's an awkward fucking trailer. I know they have to sell the premise, and I get that. And I'm always like, I like these characters already. You know, Callum Turner, Monica Barbaro. I'm like, I like these characters. I just don't know if I love the trailer. It's like, I just, because it's the premise they have to sell. And I know, and this is the perfect example of once we're in the movie, right? Like, it's going to work because you're in that world already. But selling it over and over, like I said, I've seen this trailer fucking at least 10 times. Every time I go to the movie theater, it's this fucking trailer. Fuck. Glurp, 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 glurp. Like, dude, it's just there.
You are glurp glurping.
It's just there, bro. Monica Barbaro looks unbelievable in this fucking movie, though. And, of course, Callum Turner, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. I don't have anything else. My brain is fried.
Yeah.
So,
we'll end it on this. In the past year, we've had a film shot entirely on IMAX.
mm-hmm.
We've had a film shot for 750K.
Yes.
We had Sinners, which was a film shot on 65 millimeter and was the first movie to ever combine IMAX 15 perf and Ultra Panavision 70. And we had a film shot on an iPhone with 28 years later.
And a film that was shot entirely in fucking VistaVision.
Yep.
Actually, more than one, I think, right?
There are so many awesome things happening in the world of film. And I think you can really get a taste for anything and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this movie just like we did. Thank you so much for spending some time and hanging out with us on this podcast, the Charlie and Duke Show. And we really do appreciate it. So thank you guys.
I actually don't know if it was entirely shot on it, but it was close. It was a lot of it was shot on it.
Still, yeah.
The fact that it was used at all, fuck.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly. It's just that technique, like just at all. It's so fucking cool. And yeah, so thank you guys so much. And we will catch you on the flip side.